Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. We're pleased to be joined by the head boys basketball coach at Chippewa Valley. That, of course, is Corey Smith. How's it going?
Going great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, let's talk about how the year's going for you so far. Just overall, where do you guys think you're at right now?
We're growing is the word I like to use. We had a really successful last 2 years, had a great group of seniors from last year that graduated and left us. And this year we are just have a lot of moving parts. Still trying to find the right pieces, trying to find the intentionality with how hard we need to play to be successful. And that's just normal. What's not normal is of our rotation pieces, we graduated 7 of our 9 rotation pieces from last year. So the amount of new minutes that we have going out this year is a lot. And, we're struggling. We're struggling with the, leadership coming back. But not that they're bad, just most of our seniors didn't endure what it took last year. So they're learning just like the new up and coming varsity players are. So it's, they work hard and they're a great group. But we got some things we're still growing with.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the guys that are returning and some of the guys to watch out for this year.
Yeah. So we have 2 returning starts. So the 2 returners both started for us last year. One is a senior. His name's Isaiah Joliffe. He is kind of a do everything forward. He's about 6 foot, probably going in 200 pounds, really good athlete, really physical. One of the hardest workers I've ever coached. He is literally in the gym getting extra shots up 5:45 every morning. He'll say, "Coach, we're in the gym tomorrow." Now it's just a thing. Like every morning he's here and there's really working his butt off. Great kid, really hard-nosed worker. Last year he was guarding always the other team's best forward. That was kind of his job. And then he scored, 7 to 10 points a game on top of that. But he was really his role was to lock in defensively. This year, he's got a much more offensive role. He's finding out hard for him. He was scored kind of, when we ran to him, he scored pretty easily last year because he was getting the other team's 3rd, 4th defender guarding him. He's still learning how now when he's getting the primary defender on him, how to score. And I expect him as the season goes on and he learns because he works too hard not to be successful, to really grow into that role of primary scorer. Our other returning guy, his name's Jordan Wright. He's a junior. He plays center for us. He's about 6'4", really good athlete, very cerebral player. At the next level, when he plays in college, he will not be a center. It's both an advantage and disadvantage for us. He's not a true center, but he creates huge mismatches with the other centers who have to guard him. He's generally shorter, but way more athletic. And then he has to range out to the 3-point line. He's a really good passer, incredible defender. One of the things that jumps out at me when I watch him on film, we'll switch a lot, pick and rolls because of his ability is, when he switches onto a point guard for the other team, almost always they try to take him off the dribble. And if you checked our games thus far, you'd see very minimal success in any point guard taking our center off the dribble.
Yeah. Okay. So just overall, let's talk about some of the let's talk about the league so far this year. Where do you guys think you're at? Is league play? I think I'm not sure if league play started. I think you can't keep up with.
Yeah, we start our league session Friday. Okay. So we start right away with our crosstown rival sister school, Dakota High School. Last year, Dakota and Chippewa shared the league title. So we were tied for first. Dakota's won, I think unofficially, I could be wrong, 4 straight MAC Reds, including their share with us last year. Chippewa had won their first one last year, and I think 10 years, something like that. Both teams are probably at this point not as good as they were last year. But as I tell our players, Dakota's won 4 in a row, probably 7 of the last 8. Every year the MAC Red goes through them as far as until somebody beats them consistently. So that's going to be a tough game for us. Grosse Pointe South returns, their 2 best players, Anthony Bernard, who is probably a top 10 player in the state, So they're going to be really good. The other player is the girls' coach's son. He, from what I've seen, has improved immensely, and he was already pretty good last year as a sophomore. So they're going to be incredibly tough. Roseville always is athletic and plays tough as nails defensively. Grosse Pointe, or sorry, not Lance Cruz North. They return their 2 or 3 best players. It's a really tough and deep league. And kind of as you go across the MAC leagues, all the leagues have good teams in them. What separates the Red, which is our highest division, from the others is that the bad teams can still win versus the best teams. There's no walkover games in the MAC.
Yeah. And just kind of really kind of you kind of previewed your schedule a little bit there with Macomb, Dakota. Kind of just for maybe for the people watching this, who do you guys have next?
Yeah, so we played Dakota on Friday, and honestly, I haven't even looked past that. I believe it's LCN after that, Lance Cruz North. But Dakota, that we actually is real why we're at it, and I'll get our schedule after that. On Friday, we're doing a coaches versus cancer game with Dakota, which I'm really excited for. So that's something that my family we've been in Relay for Life for years, and we had an opportunity to do that this year. And, Dakota was the natural one, a Friday night game that we were able to do this with, and it'll be our most attended game, being our sister school. So, regardless of what happens in that game, it's something we're really excited to be able to do this year, is have this, coaches versus cancer game and raise some money for a good cause. So that'll be Friday. And, if any of your listeners are local, would love some support in that. Yeah. Going on, next week we hit Lance Cruz North and Grosse Pointe South next week, and then round out the first round of the week after of MAC Red play with Roseville and Sterling Heights Stevenson.
Yeah. It's gonna be another tough thing because a lot of those games, after the Dakota game, you guys are 3 out of the next 4 on the road, so it's gonna be a challenge for this team.
Yeah, you know what? In some regards, right now, Chippewa is a football school first. I'm not naive to that, and we benefit a lot sharing players from the successes of our football program. So that's a really good thing. We work hand in hand. But sometimes it's good to be away from your fans and when I say fans, I really mean critics. One of the things we're trying to get into our players is to listen to the voice in the gym, not the stands. And, so we have a certain way we want to play, and it's not always the way their friends, their family think they should be used or our team should be playing. And so being on the road, isn't all bad. In that we don't have that aspect. We go and it's more of a team. Like, we have to stay together on the road. And I think that's kind of helpful for us early, to be completely honest.
Okay. All right. Well, Corey Smith, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us, and best of luck the rest of the season.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks, Casey.